On today's episode of Wrong Side, we have an Olympic update from Paris and where the U.S. stands. Marvel took over the weekend at San Diego Comic-Con and Deadpool. Michael gives his take on a childhood fun time that maybe adults should bring back. Another item of Outside the Line and Clutch Moment of the Week, a fantastic interview with Ian Mcgee, new Wrong Side athlete, and Michael and Joey's new segment, Shcharber Zolnierek takes for the 2037 election, where we give our new policies that we will run on. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Welcome back, listeners. Episode 19. We are here. If you didn't have a chance, please go back and listen to last week's episode. We talked about when the right time to decide to maybe leave your first job will be. And I actually got a text from one of our fraternity brothers, Nathan Chakowski. Chalk, hope you're doing well, man. Thanks for the listens. He said some advice that he got from one of his college professors was there are 3 metrics to look for when deciding to keep or leave your job. 1, do you like your boss? 2, do you like the area and location? And 3, do you like the job, the tasks, the pay, the people, the culture of the company? If you say no to 2 of those 3, it's probably time to leave, look for something else. If you say yes to 2 of those 3, you can probably still gut it out where you're at. In a time where it seems like things are changing now more than ever with life, the world, the pursuit of the happiness, as some are calling it. Great to get advice from Chalk. Know that we're reaching people and listening. So thanks for that text, and hopefully some more advice for the listeners on when to decide to potentially move out of your job. But the rest of it, we're rolling. The dynasty started. Olympics are in action. Kevin Durant is a true patriot. Michael, I know you had quite an interesting take as we're in the dog days of summer about a potential pastime that we as now adults may need to look back to our childhoods for. So tell everyone what your latest take is.
Yeah, I had a big take this week. I texted you. It kind of made me laugh a little, but I think it's actually an epidemic. Why did we do this as a society and just ignored one of our best pastimes? I think as a society, laser tag should be more acceptable for adults. I brought it up to you and you're like, yeah, laser tag is fun. I brought it up to people at work. Actually, I was like, when was the last time? I was like, do you guys like laser tag? And every single person was like, yeah, fucking laser tag rocks. Everyone was like, laser tag's awesome. I was like, when was the last time you played? And they were like, probably when I was like 10 to 14, somewhere in that range. And I was like, yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. Why is it not as acceptable for adults? Because it got me thinking. I was watching a YouTube video on like this like team playing laser tag. And I saw them playing laser tag. I'm like, this looks so fun. And now I've started talking, maybe like a Top Golf style, where laser tag inside, but there's a bar, there's food, there's waiting areas. All the laser tags around me when I was growing up were like smaller places. Like there was one that had laser tag, go-karts, and mini golf, like a Boomers. I don't know if you guys have like something similar to that.
We had something like that.
So like one of those, but like still kid driven, birthday party driven. And then there was Laser Quest, which was basically like you go, you play, you sign up. And then there was also rooms for birthday parties. But I think laser tagging with adults would be fun. Like a Friday night, there's still drinking there. You can still go drink, have fun, do whatever you want. But I don't know why laser tag has kind of left the forefront. I think it'd be fun. Adults still go like on mini golf dates or like bowling dates.
Yeah.
Or, like they do go-karting. Like people still do those things we did. Why did laser tag like not catch, like why did it catch short end of the stick?
No, I respect that. I mean, at the very least, like you go do it with your friends, you up the teamwork, like looking at it objectively on like why it would benefit actual adults, teamwork, maybe some
building, like a
athleticism
teamwork building, like
work thing would be sick. Like I respect the take, and it actually I kind of forgotten about this until we were just talking about it, but it was called Battle House in Barrington, Illinois. I kind of had this adult laser tag thing you were talking about. It's pretty pricey, which is maybe one of the reasons that laser tag isn't great in the adult community right now. But it was like real life Call of Duty. There was search and destroy, there was hostage rescue, there was transport. I upgraded for the full auto gun the first time we did it, which was electric. There's a sniper you can upgrade to. The people are like decked out in camo and like look pretty try hard. So adult laser tag definitely has some legs, I think.
Do
So I
you
think that was a
think
pretty solid take.
do you think that one thing about adult laser tag that people might not like versus mini golf or go-karts is people get sweaty? Do you think adults don't like getting sweaty in like regular clothes? Do you think that has an effect on not playing?
Pro- Probably, but put shorts and a dry fit on. Like we need to sweat more as a society. There's
Yeah.
an obesity problem that can be solved by laser tag.
Right. I think laser tag would be fun. I think people like laser tag. Every time people say like, "Oh, laser tag's so fun." How I Met Your Mother, there was some great laser tagging
Yep.
with Barney. I
Hmm.
mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I was just a thought I had, which but that was my take of the week for laser.
I mean, my friends and I, we played, at least growing up, we played shooters and search and destroy enough that I think
Yeah.
if we like really went in and like tried hard at it, we'd be like, all right, you're there. We'd have like the hand signals going exactly. Like we could cook. If there's competitive laser tag anywhere around, like I think I'd be pretty interested in this.
Yeah, just like
I'm a
a
big
fun night
objective guy.
fun
I'll
night
lay
with the
down my life for the
friends.
team.
Yeah,
Oh
fun night
yeah.
with friends, just like going and playing. I was telling my parents, I say, like, what about paintball? I'm like, yeah, paintball is cool, but paintball is a little different. It's not as cool. It's
Paintball
like the
hurts.
lights are stimulating. Yeah, the paintball hurts. You get bruised up. It's just a little laser. You have fun, capture the flag. Like there's different game modes. I think laser tag. I think we got to bring laser tag back.
The
Speaking
only
on,
downfall of that The only
okay.
downfall of laser tag with a
Oh
bar,
no,
if you're mixing the adult laser tag community and the birthday party community, you're gonna
no,
see
no, no, no,
me.
no,
I'm
no.
gonna
This
be
is
running around.
it's gonna
Oh,
be
it's completely
it's
separate.
gonna be like a. I think it kind of be like a. I guess it's like tough because like Top Golf is still meant for kids. I get that. I don't know what the
Yeah, it's kind
birthday
of
party setup would be
both.
like, but maybe like more so like a 21 and older laser tag club.
That could be good because if I'm in a theoretical game 7 of my laser tag league and I turn around and little like 10-year-old Jimmy is just trying to shoot me in the back over and over again, and I've had a few too many
Right.
Miller Lights, he may be getting meleeed with that laser tag gun. So I think we got to find a way to keep that separate. Maybe the 21 up is a very good
Find a way
idea,
to get
but
okay. Okay.
we need strict rules going on. I don't want any of that going on. But
That's a good. That's a
overall, I love
good.
the take. I think that's a good
That's
one.
a good devil's advocate of little Jimmy killing you in the
Hmm.
last game. That's a good devil's advocate mixing and matching with kids and alcohol. That's a good point. I like that take. But that take actually is going to lead us to a new segment starting for the next 2 months. It is the dog days of
Hmm.
summer. We know there's not much on. We have football coming in a little bit in about a month or so, but we're going to start a new segment every week for the next month or so called Shcharber Zolnierek 2037 election policies, where we're going to bring our ideas to you guys for you guys to think. It's election season. We're in the spirit of not instead of talking about real policies and real topics that real politicians care about, we're going to talk to you about things that we think more people should do.
Yes.
And I think we're going to give you our first one right now. So Joey, give us our first one.
Well, this was started off by you. I think you should intro the segment.
Okay. Okay. So basically, I think the policy at hand is not so much an obesity problem or that. It's more so a younger kids having too much screen time policy. I think there's a lot of
Brain
kids that
rot.
play the iPad too much, a lot of brain rot going on in the
Hmm.
world right now. And I think that there should be something that makes people be more active, do something, stuff like that. When I was raised, I played a lot of sports, did a lot of different sports: baseball, basketball, soccer. I did karate for a little. I did other stuff here and there, tennis, swam for a little. And I did all of
Mm.
that, but I was still very young, and you figure out what you like. I slowly figured out, okay, I really like baseball. I really like basketball. I did a little soccer until about seventh, eighth grade. So that was when I did a little longer. So those are the three sports I played a while. But now kids these days are playing on the iPad too much. They're playing on their phone too much. Hell, even adults are on their phones and iPads too much. I have no problem
Oh yeah.
saying that. But I
Hmm.
think there should be more activity. And basically, the policy I'm rolling out is that by the age of 8, I would like people to be able to have tried 3 different sports. And I'm not saying you have to
Okay.
play travel baseball or travel basketball or AAU or a travel football league, but like T-ball starts at 5 years old playing that. Or YMCA or NJB basketball counts as something, or your local rec soccer league. I think active
Okay.
children is good. I think getting them off. Now, I get what people might be saying. Some people don't like sports. I get that. I'm willing to
Fine. Yeah.
negotiate conversions. Maybe 2 instruments per one sport. If you want to be an instrument person, you can play 2 instruments. That'll knock out one of your sports by age 8. And I know you guys are thinking, yes, this activity, but brain rot can still be possible. But basically, what I want to implement is bringing away from multiple screens, helping out younger kids in a way of every person is only allowed one handheld device and one desktop slash laptop. For example, you can have an Apple iPhone and an Apple Mac, but you cannot have an iPad or a desktop or everything else. It's obviously still in the beginning works, I know, but
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
avoids kids having that. And then the brain rot reward of getting phones and stuff, there could be a certain circumstance, but I didn't get a phone till I was in 6th grade. I
Same.
understand there are circumstances where kids have to be picked up by grandparents or going to daycare or stay in communication. I'm well aware of that. But if you complete the 3 sports by your 8-year-old year, you're eligible for your phone after 8th grade or after 6th grade. I'm sorry, 12 years old. If you cannot
Okay.
complete 3 sports by age 8, you are not allowed your phone till 16.
Do you worry that the lack of phone will make them less well adjusted and more inclined to do brain rot activities? If they can't have it till 16, what kind of social life are these kids going to have?
I think you increase the chances of them liking a sport and then having teammates and having friends and doing that. I get what you're saying from a communication
Uh-huh.
standpoint, but how much are we really gaining on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter? I think
That's
Twitter I
fair.
gain the most because I see news and I see sports, I see reporters, etc. But Instagram
Uh-huh.
and Snapchat, I have a couple people I Snapchat. I have a couple people I look on Instagram. Instagram now at our age, you're looking to see who's getting married. You're looking to see who's getting
Yeah. Yeah.
engaged or having a baby. You're not looking to see who gets the most followers anymore. So that's my policy.
Fair.
That's What are your thoughts? This is going to be one of our
I
campaign policies. This is like a debate. We have a debate style, politician style.
Yeah, so first, like going back to the birth of this segment, we've somehow stumbled into talking a good amount of politics over the last couple of weeks, which is the last thing we want to do. At first, we thought this was going to be an outlet away from real life and our
Right.
jobs, but no, this is actually us starting our campaign at 23 years old. So we're willing to take feedback. Michael and I both have a relatively old school approach to the world. We want people to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and go play sports and hit baseballs and not skibbity Ohio toilet riz. I don't know what any of those words mean, but
Right.
I'm very supportive of this segment. I also played a good amount of sports growing up. I think it kept me on a good path for a good while. My only question: I played a couple instruments in my life. I played the cello for a year. I played the trumpet for 4 years, and I played the guitar a little bit. The conversion rate of one instrument or
I said two.
two instruments
Two
to
for
one
one.
two instruments to one sport. I don't know. Besides prodigy children, I don't think you're learning 6 instruments by age 8. So we may have to adjust the
Okay.
conversion rate a little
Okay.
bit because the instrument like still definitely like scratches that part of your brain that's anti brain rot. It's going to do
Right.
good things for you. But if you're like a stud piano player by 8 years old, I don't know if that's going to count for all 3 sports,
What
and
if
it
I
may
countered with
make you a
length?
little less
Like one, let's say you were really good at the
pause.
piano. I, what if I counter with length in a sense of 1 year of the piano, 1 year
Okay.
of like being really good at something counts as maybe one sport? How about that?
I think I'm in on that. But
Okay.
then you got to take into account like how long is like a YMCA basketball season? Like 10 weeks?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Since you're not going to be doing physical activity and you're doing musical, which is totally fine, that's still stimulating your
Uh-huh.
brain in some sort of way.
Okay.
Maybe it just has to be a little longer. Because if you think about it, the YMCA season, if you're a little kid, you're not as great in the beginning. You're still learning the game. You're still learning how to play basketball or baseball or etc. There's going to be about a
Yeah.
month or two, probably maybe longer, of learning the piano or learning an instrument where you're not going to be good. So you have to give that time to kind of give a run. And with the piano, I think I'm using that one with an instrument. I think one way to take a look at it is like for sports, there's going to be scheduled practice. Your coach might have you practice on Tuesday, Thursdays. We have T-ball, or
Yep.
Tuesday, Thursdays. We have basketball. The instrument, if you're not going to a tutor or a coach, like a professional person, it's kind of on you to get better. So that's why I think
Yeah.
you have to also extend to give some more time to get better. But willing to
I'm in on
negotiate.
that.
I'm willing to negotiate terms, but I think more physical activity and less skibbity riz whatever is good for society.
No, I'm very in on that. I think we've kind of have a couple ideas. We've been keeping track of Michael's strike list for the airports, us opening up
Yes,
our own wrong
yes.
side airport with very clean security lines. I think if we keep writing these things down, we're gonna have a very convincing campaign come
I mean,
2037.
people are so worried about all these serious things. We're talking about the serious items and giving a fun spin on it. Like
Yeah,
I was listening to part of my take last week, and they were like, "Who would have thought talking about Joe Biden is talking about ice cream for 10 minutes?" We talked about
right.
obesity and problems with younger kids and education and sports, but we talked about it in a fun way and making people play a sport. I guess maybe if you look at it as a forcing them to play sport, it doesn't look as good. But in the grand scheme of like being a part of a team and athletic, it's good.
Uh huh.
It's more physical activity as a little kid.
Well, okay. Do you count team laser tag as a sport?
Oh no, I guess if you were playing that, I don't. Well, team laser tag, I don't know if there a lot of team laser tagging going on between the ages of 0 and 8.
Probably not. That's fair.
That
But
that
I just want we're saving the country through laser tag is
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
starting
yeah,
this see
yeah,
this going
yeah,
through.
yeah. Everybody, turn in your guns for gun reform, and we'll bring in laser tags.
All right, yeah, we got some great campaign promises we'll be cooking up over the next couple months, and this is actually quite a patriotic episode because until Michael and I are of age to run the country, we got to turn elsewhere, and mainly in the news right now, the Olympics. Men's basketball has started. We're well into the throes of things. Beach volleyball looks dope under the Eiffel Tower. USA is leading the medal count as we're sitting here recording on the 28th. And I love the Olympics. So, Michael, give us your Olympic update and where we're at.
First thing I'll say, Moose, even though he's been great running social media, he's a big part of our Wrong Side brand. Worst take of the week by him. Can't believe he said that this week about the Olympics, where he said he wasn't an Olympic guy. And to be honest,
Crazy.
I saw a lot of people on Twitter as well, X, formerly known as
Mm.
Twitter, that they said they didn't like it either. I was shocked. I love watching it. I think it's awesome. I think it's cool to see stories of like the 16-year-old track star for the US. You have younger people in other countries competing. I mean, this is peak performance. I did see one take about the Olympics, which was kind of interesting before I get into my favorite parts so far through the first couple of days. What are your thoughts about this? The Olympics is great. This person was saying the Olympics are great and they have all these great athletes in sports. But her proposition was taking out the sports that this isn't the pinnacle of their sport. They took out tennis because they believe like tennis is not. It's Wimbledon. There's other tournaments. Golf. This isn't the pinnacle of golf. Basketball. Basically, most of like the Americanized team sports. This isn't the pinnacle. But like water polo, swimming, track and field, fencing. There are. What are your take on that? Are you like? I still like seeing the pros play basketball or soccer, etc. But I do like because like for example, women's soccer versus men's, the men send U23s while the women send their main teams because the women's team don't have Euros and Copa like the men do. So
Yeah.
I think it still is a pinnacle in a way. What are your thoughts on that?
I
Do you
don't
like
think it's
that take or no?
ridiculous at all. It's low key shades of Noah Lyle take, I think. Like champions of the world, champions of what? So,
Mm.
though this isn't the pinnacle of basketball, we all expect men's basketball to sweep their way to a gold medal. It's still impressive and still means more to compete for your country than competing at the highest level is one
I like
thing,
that.
but I I respect that take, but I still think like we talked about, like this is the one time that everyone is bleeding the red, white, and blue, no matter where you came from, no
Right.
matter if you play for the Celtics or the Lakers or anything else, you have a bitter golf rivalry. Like for
Right.
once you're all on the same team, we're all rooting for the same thing. So I understand the take, but I don't agree with it. I think it just means more
Okay.
here.
Okay. I
So
agree. I agree.
I'm I'm not a huge though I'm shocked Moose isn't a big Olympic guy because he just loves ball. Um I haven't been as into the Olympics. Like, I think it was
It's
also like COVID time.
and it's tough right now, the time differences and stuff. I mean, like we're barely
Yeah,
seeing
time
anything
difference is
live.
tough. I've already committed myself to going to LA and seeing them when they're in the US in
Oh, really?
2028.
I actually told my
So
mom I don't want to be here because of the traffic.
that's fair enough as a local, but like it's an Olympics. Like I really want
Fair,
to go.
fair.
I am a brain rot kid, so I have problem watching TV. Maddie and I just started The Wire. The Wire is a great show, but like if I'm just like sitting there by myself, like I'm not turning on like a hardcore show to watch most of the time.
Right.
So it's nice to have just a constant running stream of sports going on that I could just throw on. And like we had the quad box going today on
Yeah, the
YouTube TV
gold
for the
zone.
Olympics,
The
which was
gold
dope.
zone on
Yeah,
the Peacock is awesome with Scott Hansen.
So I'm in on that, especially right now, as we talked about, we're in the dog days of summer. But like overall, like there's some funny memes about it, but like I don't know pretty much any of the athletes going into it. We don't have like we have some studs, like we have Simone Biles, we have Katie Ledecky, but like Michael Phelps was the GOAT, like
Yeah,
the GOAT.
yeah.
Everybody knew when he was going. I'm keeping up with basketball pretty well, but um, the stories, like, I don't
Track and
know any
field.
of
When
them that
track and
well.
field start get going, that'll be good. Swimming
Yeah,
has
that'll
been.
be
I
good.
know Ledecky got bronze in her first race, but the men's 4x100 relay also won, which was
Yep.
incredible. My other
Mhm.
stories so far were USA men's soccer. They did win a game, their second group stage game, but this stat just
Mhm.
didn't seem real until I really looked it up. They scored a goal in their second group stage game. First goal in the Olympics by a U.S. soccer team since 2008. It's been 4 Olympics since we've scored a goal. I
Tie
will.
ball.
I mean, so tie ball. The women's national team is dominating. I think they are dominating. They are a great team.
Matt
Uh,
Mallory Swanson has already contributed
Mallory
more
Swanson,
offense
yes.
than Dansby has. So shout out Mallory. Dansby, maybe we'll trade him this week, I guess too. But
Yeah.
we just got to, US just has to stop with men's soccer. I'm all in on the women's soccer team, but since what was it? What did you say? 4 Olympics since
Yeah,
2008.
four
Like
Olympics.
people we're dominating the medal count right now. We continue to dominate like over past years, but like the U.S. men's soccer
Send him
all
home.
across the board is just a
Send him
joke. Why
home.
are we still sending them? Yeah, exactly. That's
And
crazy.
my last thing I'll say is USA basketball dominates in game one, beats Serbia, beats Jokic, and LeBron, you are my sunshine. Leads the way again. Him and KD. I mean, it's remarkable that these guys, him, KD, Steph, they're still leading the way. They're kind of the old heads on the roster. I saw they took their version of the Larry Bird Magic Jordan picture. I did see that, which was pretty cool. But very exciting. Jokic was still making crazy shots. He was trying to run them the way he wanted to be ran, but a loss. But story of the USA game, I think you want to talk about it the most because you're super excited about it. So I'll let you say it. Story of the game,
Kevin, I don't know
Jason
the
Tatum.
story of the game. Jason Tatum. So they're playing a beautiful brand of basketball right now. All the old heads they've bought into the system. I mean, how can you not with LeBron James leading the floor and like his game IQ? So it's great to see the ball moving around the way it is. But there's also now this underlying story of Celtics drama. I saw some people saying Steve Kerr is doing this on purpose. He brought in Derek White instead of Jaylen Brown. Now Jason Tatum isn't playing at all. When asked in the post game, like, hey, like, are you sick? Like, what's the deal? He's just like, I'm good. Like, I don't really know what's going on. Steve Kerr is on some Steve Jackson level of just mind fuckery of what's going on with the Celtics right now, which I respect it. But I thought Jason Tatum actually did look good in a couple of
Yeah.
those like preseason games. Like he was getting to the rim. He wasn't doing his Kobe Bryant step back three shit. I don't get it. I do love to see their downfall a little bit. Drew Holiday and Derek White are both great players to have on the team, and they're doing well. But the drama between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown does make me happy. But I don't know what it is. People are slandering Kerr on the timeline, saying he's mismanaging this team. So I don't know what to make of it right now. But it's objectively hilarious.
I think it's very funny. It is objectively hilarious. Tyrese Halliburton, and Tatum were the only two to not get a minute today. I saw what Steve Kerr
Halliburton
said after.
stinks.
I saw Steve
Halliburton
Kerr
stinks.
said after the game. They asked him why he didn't play him, and he said it's because I'm an idiot. That's why I didn't play him. And I don't really know what to take about that either, because
Yeah.
yeah, you are dumb. Everyone on the Golden State side as well is kind of slandered a little as well, saying he's gonna blow it for us because he just likes playing 3 guard systems and he's not giving AD and
Right.
Embiid or Bam enough time to mesh together. But yeah, definitely a funny start. It'll be interesting to see what I think there's always going to be a couple guys that don't play a couple minutes. 0 minutes is shocking to me. I
Yeah.
thought LeBron being in there, KD being in there up 20 in the last 5 was crazy. Might as well just pull them, and they did get pulled. They didn't get pulled, so I don't know what happened there. But was also funny seeing LeBron score on Serbia and Anthony Edwards going for full Kermit Willis and doing the pumping suck it motion to the Serbian bench. That was quite a scene. And he looks like a little like Anthony Edwards. I saw a great meme as well. It was from the first Spider Verse of Jake Johnson's Spider Man. It's like when
Uh-huh.
he puts on the mask to like pretend to be the other Spider-Man, so he's like replicating him, and it was like Anthony Edwards anytime he's next to LeBron. So basically, just like imitating LeBron. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe there's always going to be a couple guys that don't play a minute, but through game one, everybody looked like they were firing. Steph had a great game. KD was
Yep.
unstoppable. I saw everyone apologizing for making fun of him in the club when he was taking those
Yeah.
practice shots in the club. He cares that much. And LeBron was LeBron, and he's incredible as well. So definitely will be interesting to see. They have a South Sudan their next game, and that'll be a good test since they
Yeah.
barely got past them in the warm up game. So I'm excited to see that. And then they have Puerto Rico after that.
The wrong side moment though. Even in this stage with the most stacked team in the world at the moment, Jokic still dominated Embiid in that first half, and he cannot
He
catch a
did.
break. Like Embiid cannot
Yeah.
catch a goddamn break.
Embiid officially most hated athlete, I think, in the nation. He might have
Oh yeah,
passed Dak. He might have passed
I
Dak.
think so.
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe it's because like he's again like Embiid's on the stage right now. Dak isn't playing yet. We're a couple weeks away, but Embiid is they're definitely 1-2 whatever season it is.
yeah,
But
for
very
sure.
interesting to see. I'm very excited to see the rest of the track and field. Hopefully, U.S. can run it. I did see, of course, Canada and Greece. Canada got into it with Greece at the end of the game. Dylan Brooks and Shea were right in the forefront of it.
Yep.
Very interesting to see. Definitely, I got to watch some fencing. That was pretty interesting as well. It was pretty confusing for me. I don't really know how it works. You just hit that when you get the point, or you're on a tether too. So that was kind of interesting, but
Okay.
always exciting. I think that beach volleyball setup is freaking awesome.
All
Freaking awesome.
timer. All
Oh,
timer. That's
and
amazing.
last cool thing about the Olympics that I did see is the Alcaraz Nadal. They're playing doubles in tennis. Pretty fucking awesome.
Okay.
First time they've ever played together in doubles. It's the future and the past, and basically the past of Spanish
Hmm.
tennis. And I found out they had never played together before the Olympics. No practice, nothing. They just showed up, played the doubles match, they won. And Nadal, I don't know what it came of it. He was supposed to play today. I didn't see anything. But Nadal
Huh.
talked about pulling himself from playing in the singles tournament because he thinks the best chance for Spain to get a medal is in doubles. So he was willing to pull
Wow.
himself out of singles to be in the doubles with Alcaraz, which I thought was crazy. And it looked awesome, them playing
See,
together.
that was right back to that other take is like tennis, the Olympics may not be the pinnacle for that sport, but
Right,
like Nadal's there competing for his country, like taking him out of
right.
something for individual pride for the country. So I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, Olympics are great. First couple of days have been awesome. Excited to see the rest of it. Now, though, we're going to go into our interview. Ian Mcgee, Lucky Gee, as they call him, one of Joey's friends from high school, and now pursuing a amateur MMA career, along with also student teaching and trying to find his path there. We talk about all that kind of stuff now, and we're going to kick it to ourselves in the studio with Ian and hear from him. Let's go.
Welcoming into the studio, Ian Mcgee, inaugural wrong side athlete, Lake Zurich High School alumni, amateur MMA fighter, and aspiring special ed high school teacher. Ian, welcome to the studio. Thanks for coming in. How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here. Good to see you again, Joey. Good to meet you, Michael. Good kind of talking before this and getting to know each other. Very happy to be on and kind of talk about some different things going on in my life and kind of navigating that coming up to postgraduate life and still being in that competitive side of athletics at this age and time in life.
Yes, sir. Great to have you on. So, for those of you who don't know, who haven't been following us on the social media, Ian is our first sponsored athlete out of the Wrong Side Takes company. So, Ian reached out to us a couple weeks ago. He's been going up through the ranks, amateur MMA fighter. His next fight coming up in April, hopefully back in the Chicagoland area for anyone hoping to join. Wrong Side and Ian Mcgee. What was your nickname again? Little G?
Lucky Gee.
Lucky
So it kind
Gee.
of goes along like with the last name McGee, and then in jujitsu, like the robe you wear for jujitsu is called the gi.
Okay.
So I kind of went for just like a little play on that. So yeah,
Nice.
Lucky Gee is what my fight name is, but for my first fight, the team wanted to kind of do something special. So at our team dinner, we had our weigh-ins. I turned in my information bio sheet for what my nickname was going to be, and then at the team dinner, everyone was, "Oh, you got to walk out as Tits McGee. Like it's your first fight. It's your first fight. You have to do it." And I was like, my mom and dad are going to be there. My sister's little 3-month-old baby's going to be there. Like I've got friends and family watching, and they were all like, "It's your first fight. You have to do it." So we talked to the announcer right before kind of the fights began, and had it changed. So my mom was a little surprised when they announced me as Ian Tits McGee. but got a lot of love from the fans with that. They really kind of enjoyed that. So
That's iconic.
it was
That's a
cool.
good
Yeah,
entry.
yeah, it was
People are
pretty
gonna remember you.
iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, going through and like walking down the catwalk and walking out to like that big entrance. I mean, we put on a pretty good promotion. Like close to 3,000 people there in attendance. It's like walking out, seeing the bright lights, seeing all the people with the music playing. It's definitely a whole different feeling than like anything else I've ever been a part of. Kind of reminds you of those Friday night lights. Playing football at Lake Zurich, I wasn't a great football player. I was those JV
Oh
bench
yeah.
rider, but being a part of those walkouts, and like having the crowd roaring on those Friday nights was super cool. So going back and kind of having that experience through being where like I'm the star of the show, not necessarily like the fight, but in that moment, like all eyes are on me, whereas it's all eyes on like a football team and everything. So
What was your
kind of
walkout
having
song?
I did Jukebox Hero.
Okay,
Classic.
I like that.
Kind of wanted to go with like a little throwback because like we have a very wide range of like fans, so kind of wanted to get something that get kind of like the oldies more into it too. You had a lot of the people walking out to the different rap music and stuff, so kind of wanted to change it up a little bit and go with something a little more classic.
Nice.
So next one I'm looking at doing something by the Black Keys,
Okay.
hopefully for my next walkout.
I like the
I
vibe.
like that. So you're fighting now. What tell the listeners also as well. Obviously, you're from Lake Zurich, like Joey mentioned. Tell us a little about college. How you got to this point? Did you always think MMA was going to win? Did we know you wrestled? How did you make the transition from wrestling? And when did you decide? I think I'm going to give this a chance.
So I never thought like about MMA. Like I always watched UFC through like middle school, through high school, and thought that it was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I'd love to do that, but never thought that it was something that I was gonna pursue. So I going through my senior year of high school, my plan originally was I was gonna graduate, I was gonna go to University of Kansas where my brother was at college, and he was like one of the big guys in his frat, managed the biggest bars in Kansas. So I was kind of gonna follow along him and kind of go that route. Didn't really have even any plans for wrestling in school. But once you kind of start getting some recruitment letters and different schools that want you to come out and visit, you're like, this is kind of like this is a cool feeling. Like maybe I'll go check it out. So I made a trip up to La Crosse and went to a wrestling duel there and explored the campus and right away just kind of fell in love with it. Being from like the suburbs of Chicago, we don't have too much of like that nature scene. So going up to La Crosse and having the bluffs, it was like beautiful right away. Kind of just fell in love with it. Fell in love with the idea of like being a college athlete. So kind of made a last minute decision where decided to wrestle at school. So I did that for 2 years. It was a little tough because I moved up there. I wrestled the lowest weight class at 125, but coming from my senior year of high school being 113, I was weighing 118, whereas the rest of the guys in the room that are at 125 weigh 140, 145. They're cutting down to 25. I'm trying to like eat 6 meals a day just to get up to that point. And we had so many hammers. La Crosse is a very well known D3 wrestling college. Um, so I was getting my butt handed to me quite a bit in the practice room, and between having 2 knee surgeries in high school, and some shoulder problems, and then COVID hit. Uh, that end of freshman sophomore year, and once they started to try to have us like wrestle in masks and everything,
Damn.
um, my body, I woke up in the morning, my body was aching every day. I I would call home, I'd call my dad, I'd break down in tears like, I hate this, like why did I come to school here? Why did I do this? And I felt like wrestling was the only thing keeping me at La Crosse, and I was like, well, what would I do if I don't wrestle? So I kind of battled with those thoughts for about a year. Can't lie, it was like a tough time. We talked about kind of before this having those uncomfortable conversations, and Yeah, it was definitely a tough time, lots of phone calls home talking to my parents, like, what am I doing with my life? I feel like everything is going wrong. I was one of the top wrestlers in my high school room, state qualifier. I didn't place or anything, but I thought, hey, like I'm pretty good at this D3 wrestling. Like it's not that serious. And then you go in and it's a whole different ball game. I think D3 sports are kind of slept on a little bit. A lot of people think, oh, not the best athletes go through or like play in D3, but you're doing the same things as D1 athletes. You're waking up at 5 in the morning to go to lifts. You're doing 2-a-day practices. You're battling the academic life with the athletic life, and it drains you for sure, and definitely takes a very strong person to kind of get through 4 years of being a college athlete. So I give a lot of respect to those guys who make it all those 4 or 5 years competing. So yeah, I kind of going back to what got me into MMA. I kind of hung up the competitive side, and I got into coaching an adaptive sports league at one of the local high schools because an opportunity came up, and I was like, "That's right up my alley. That's something I'd love to kind of learn more about to hopefully start an adaptive sports league of my own wherever I end up going to pursue my teaching career." Um, so I started doing that for a little bit, and I had the athletic director come up to me and offer me like, you do want to help coach with the wrestling team too. So I was like, I kind of thought I hung up wrestling for a while, but always felt like I wanted to get back into the coaching side of things, and I felt like I gave my body like enough time to rest. Going into the practice room for the first time and like not wrestling for 2 years, letting a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds whoop up on you
Humbling.
kind of beat my morale. Yeah, kind of beat my morale a little bit, and I was like, wow, like I really need to kind of start getting back into the swing of things. So through coaching there, one of the assistant coaches owns the MMA gym, actually, that I'm wearing the shirt right now, Team Ironworks up in Holman, Wisconsin. He was the assistant coach at Holman for the wrestling team, and he spent a while talking to me like, you should come out, try a class, try fighting. And I spent like 6 months just telling him hard no, like no chance, I'm good. Like I've watched the UFC, like I've watched these guys get their
I'm
face
good.
beat
You're
in,
good.
blood everywhere. Like I think I'll take a hard pass. But he kept convincing me, and eventually I was like, you know what, sure, like I'll go in, I'll try a class. I kind of wanted to start getting back into better shape after kind of being out of things for a while. And as weird as it is to say, once you kind of get punched in the face for the first time, you get addicted to it. You're like, oh, this is a different feeling, because then you're gonna start punching back. And yeah, so kind of after my first class, I really kind of got hooked onto it. And even like being out of a sport for that 2 years, like I feel like I'm a person that thrives off of like having routine and having a busy schedule. So when I found myself having that downtime, that's where you start to have a lot of those what if thoughts, like
Oh yeah.
different things like that kind of happen. So getting back into a gym and like finding a great group of like guys and girls to train with, was just incredible, and I kind of fell in love with it super
Yeah,
quick.
I think one.
I think that's a go
I was
ahead.
gonna say one thing before Joey moves on. I think that I want to compliment you for saying, and I think it's something we've talked about before on this. Talked about, I think, with a lot of our friends at this age. It's very tough to hang it up. It's very tough to realize that it's not going to work. It's very tough to realize that I'm not going to
Yeah,
be a shortstop. I'm not going to be a quarterback in the NFL. So I understand those conversations. I never got, Joey and I didn't play college sports. We didn't do that. D1, D2, D3, we didn't do that. But it's tough in high school having to like put your cleats down, having to hang them up, and like those conversations being had even at the next level. I couldn't imagine the like impact and the importance of like everything that takes on you, because it's tough. You, like you said, you worked your whole life. You thought you were a good wrestler in high school, and then even at D3, there's still like an all-star team. Any college sports like an all-star team. They're taking the best of
yeah,
the best from city after city. And it's tough to wake up those mornings and say, fuck, like maybe I'm not built out for this. So, but it's great to hear the way you approached it and the way you battled through. I thought.
Yeah, I think just like having, a good home life was definitely very helpful. My parents were, always invested in like what was best for me. I think they were excited to have like a kid who did go on to like college athletics. My dad was like pretty excited to be like, "Oh, I have like a kid who's a college athlete." So that was even kind of one of the things that made it hard. Like I was like, I don't want to disappoint my parents, and just like I'm spending this money to come here and wrestle, and now this is not what I want to do. But between like, yeah, having a good home life and having a good girlfriend to have those conversations with, even kind of going into like leading up to fight camp, I have to give props to her because it's not easy. Have we have two dogs together. Those are a lot to take care in and of itself, and I the schedule when you're in school and training for a fight, it was very overwhelming. I was in my field experiences teaching from 7 to 3 o'clock, and then I would go coach at the high school from 3 to 5, and then I was training 5 to 8. I'd get home, shower, eat, and then I would go work overnight shifts in a group home just so I had some source of income. So, she really carried a lot of like taking care of the dogs, taking care of different things, just like in our life to help me get to the point where I was able to, pursue something that like I wanted to do. So that was definitely something I have to give her a lot of credit for, kind of where I'm at and where I'm going with all of this fighting stuff.
Yeah, the supporting cast is super important. And I want to circle back to something that you said about having a busy schedule. I think that's applicable for a lot of people. Like when your schedule's packed, you don't have time to waste and have those like bad thoughts or get yourself in trouble one way or another. But there's still a difference between taking some boxing classes where you're hitting the bag for a couple hours a week versus really trying to make it in the MMA game, getting sponsorships, running it from the business side, stuff like that. So you're taking a huge leap here, like really pouring yourself not only into your work and pursuing teaching, but really pouring yourself into this. We'll call it a hobby for now, but pouring yourself into this MMA thing. How did you decide that you really wanted to kind of pursue this at like an amateur and then moving through the ranks as opposed to just kind of casually getting involved into something like that?
I think it's a lot of it feeds just like I said, off the energy kind of in the gym. My plan originally was kind of going into it. I was like, I'm gonna do a couple classes, get a feel, and then it got to where I was like, okay, like I'll do a fight, see how it goes, and maybe just do one and done, like kind of check it off the bucket list and have something like to tell my kids, like, yeah, what I fought in that ring one day, and kind of just have that story to tell. But having a good coach in your corner and just having those teammates who are pursuing it at a higher level, you kind of look at yourself and it's like, okay, well, why am I here if I'm not trying to be the best that I can be? Whereas for the first couple of times I was going in, I was like, I'm just doing this like to do it, like maybe not to say I was like half-assing it, but definitely wasn't putting my all into it. And even like going through the whole first fight camp and experiencing my first fight, there's so many things I'm like, I already know that like I need to do differently. I need to modify and change some things. I need to take more seriously, just along those lines. So going through like that whole first experience was kind of like a big growth step in and of itself, where I was like, okay, you know what? A lot of those big pieces are there. Like the kid I fought, it was my first fight. I was training 5, 6 months before my fight, and the kid I fought was 4 or 5 years of training. He's had 4 or 5 fights. He was 0-4 coming into it, but they were all super close losses. And having 5 fights of that ring experience compared to you've never been in the ring at all is completely different. So it was kind of funny because I was watching the fight back on YouTube and listening to the commentators talk about like, oh, I'm surprised Ian decided to take on this fight against a kid with like the amount of experience as he does. And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, I was just told, hey, this is who you're fighting, and I said, okay. I didn't know I had like like a choice to say, oh, could I like look for a different opponent, maybe someone who's kind of more at the same level as me. They were just like, you got Nick Tim, and I was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Started just like watching videos of like his last couple fights, and I had some kids at the gym. He fought on the promotion a couple times, and had a lot of people at the gym who were like, oh, he's easy money, you'll take him. And you start watching some of his fights, and you're like, this kid is not easy. This kid is not kind of like a dog walk like you were kind of anticipating for your first fight. So going into that, and like, yeah, having a fight against someone with that much experience was kind of tough, but it was also mind opening because a lot of the big pieces were there. My setups were good. My movement was good. I was moving a lot on my feet, keeping distance well. So seeing like a lot of those big pieces were there. It's just building on like the smaller fundamentals now is kind of what even influenced me to be like, maybe I keep going a couple more fights. I'm not dead set on if I want to go pursue like a professional career, but definitely want to get a couple like 3, 4, 5 more amateur fights in before I call it good, and definitely stick to the training. I'll probably lifelong train in different jujitsu and whatnot, but having a full fight career until you're 30, 35 years old, I don't think that's in my
That's yeah,
future.
that's okay. That's a tough career, tough on the body. Uh, I will say about kind of hopping back into it and working with the gym and kind of going back through it. What have been some of the things you've learned that are different the way you've kind of trained your body, the way you've kind of done it? When we were talking before, Joey and I were asking you some questions about your weight and how much you're fighting at, etc. And Joey asked you, and I think this is a good question to talk about actually while we record, but how do you think it's harder as you get older? Your body does not heal as fast, your body does not metabolize as fast. How has that been the effect of being even a college wrestler to now being amateur on your own? Do you think it's been tougher, easier? Have you learned certain things about your body that you're like, okay, maybe I have to do things this way versus the way I did it when I was younger? How has that transition been?
Right. Well, so yeah, it's no surprise that obviously like when you're younger, things heal faster. You're a little bit more flexible. But like we talked about, like with the cutting weight thing, like when you're going through those motions in high school, yeah, your body has that like faster recharge and all of that. But you're not fully educated on like how to properly diet, how to do like a proper nutrition plan to fuel your body for workouts. You don't really know a lot and have like the resources of like how to go through like that day to day of being an athlete and taking care of your body. Like you look at professional athletes like LeBron James, and like his strict like they have daily strict routines that they go through. Where when you're a high school athlete, yeah, your body's recharging and adapting quick to different circumstances. Um, but you don't have that full time to be able to like take that care of your body. So being older and like being at this age now and competing, I definitely like I feel more sore when I wake up.
So do we. Don't
There's
worry.
no
So
doubt
do we.
about it. I feel a little bit
Yeah.
feel feel a little bit slower at certain times. But that's where going into like my coach Nick Johnson at Ironworks is very well educated on different nutrition plans, the different vitamins and supplements you should be taking to kind of aid in that recovery process. We do a lot of like ice bath recovery, red light sauna therapy, cupping, and everything else like that. That once you kind of got into the college side of things and you were able to see a college training room compared to the training room you see at like a high school, it's completely different. Like the resources that even at a D3 level that you have to your disposal of different like rehab therapists to help you through different injuries and massage therapists and all the different machines and all those resources that a college athletic department has to provide for their athletes. It's incredible. So yeah, the body is a little bit weaker. You get those aches and pains a little bit more, and that's where like going back to kind of like the big things to grow on for the fight that I learned from was a lot of the stuff I did was really solid. A lot of my movement was exactly what I game planned. First two rounds went exactly how I wanted. It was 1-1 going into the third round. My coach was in the corner. We were talking. It's like, don't get taken down this round, and this is your fight. Um, but all that movement I was doing, switching stances in those first two rounds, I gassed out hard in the third round. So once he took me down with that minute and a half left, I couldn't muster up that strength to, get myself standing back up and kind of fight out of it. So I had two knee surgeries. I have like no meniscus
Wow.
left in my knee. So a lot of that cardio training, like running, I've tried multiple different times to get back into running, and I'll do 2 to 3 miles, and then the next day I wake up and like my knees throbbing. I feel like I can't even like walk on it. So adapting and being able to find those different, what can I do to work on my cardio that's not running, and having that in the back of my mind now, knowing like, okay, cardio is a big thing we want to focus on coming up to this next fight. Obviously, along with sharpening up different techniques on the ground in jujitsu, with different kicks in Muay Thai. That's another thing that goes into the aging process. I am not nearly as flexible as I used to be, and I never really focused on any sort of flexibility training. So now that like I'm having to try and like kick above my head to aim at other dudes' heads, like it's definitely a different thing having that hip mobility, and that's something, excuse me, that I'm still trying to work on, and would like to even find maybe like a personal trainer once I kind of get back home that specifically focus on like that flexibility aspect, because yeah, that's just about gone once I hit like 20.
Yeah,
So
Fair.
trying to train a little smarter than harder in our old age, right?
you're right. Yeah, now it's definitely train smarter than harder. When you have to push your body. I mean, during fight camp, yeah, we're training 6 7 days a week. Hard sparring on Saturdays, but what, when you have to put in a little bit more effort first, when you can kind of pull off the gas a little bit,
Yeah.
especially like that last week leading up to the fight. It's really just gets down to kind of that cutting weight and going through the motions of preparing. So definitely a different ball game preparing for a fight compared to like preparing for an everyday wrestling match.
Yeah, for sure. So going further into the teaching side of things in the personal life, this is one of the reasons I thought this was going to be such a good interview. You're pouring your heart and soul into this fighting thing. It's not your career at the moment, but you still do have to think about your career. You got to pay the bills one way or another, and you're going to be finishing up your college career in student teaching at Buffalo Grove, nearby Lake Zurich, come the fall. So getting involved in the special ed community, you've always been involved for like as long as I've known you. Um, how is going to school for education? We have some friends in education. My girlfriend just finished her first year at Hoffman Estates High School. So are you looking forward to student teaching? Has it been what you've expected so far? And how do you like balancing a hobby this hardcore versus something that really takes up a lot of time and energy like teaching?
Yeah, so I'm definitely very excited to kind of wrap up my degree, get into that student teaching experience. I haven't really had any hands-on experience, or like my field experiences have been at the elementary and the middle school level, where as much as I love the elementary level, and like, it's great. The kids, you put out really any equipment you do, any game you do, you get the kids moving, like they're gonna love it and you have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
But the energy that it takes, especially with fighting, to have that energy to teach elementary, every single
Training.
day for a whole school year. Yeah, it's definitely draining. I loved it. Like I love working with like the younger population, and so I like really enjoyed it. But it opened my eyes to like, wow, I need some energy drinks before I go in. I need to start drinking coffee again. So this will be my first time with high school students coming up in the fall. So definitely looking forward to that, and kind of having, an age group where you can kind of, I want to say, like compare a little bit more to, and like
Yeah.
it's definitely it's difficult. Even I found it from like even just the coaching side of things right now with like the high schoolers. You have to be able to draw that line of, yes, we're still like close in age and like we kind of enjoy the same things, we laugh about the same things, but like you're at that point where like I'm 23 years old, like I I'll joke around a little bit with you, but I'm also like I'm an adult. You need to show me that respect. So that's definitely something that is challenging with teaching. Just kind of getting that respect from the students, getting everyone to listen to you and fall into line. I mean, I can attest. I definitely wasn't the greatest student going through middle school, high school. Like I looking back, like if I could go back and talk to some of my teachers while I'm back home, I just want to tell them sorry because I definitely wasn't the easiest student to work with. But I think that kind of also helped me navigate. Like I work well with the challenging students because at one time I was more to say of a challenging student. Um, so yeah, super excited to kind of get into the teaching profession. Especially the coaching side of things. Going through school, it's been a lot of kind of what I expected. Getting away from that old fashioned like roll the dodgeball out PE teaching style. The
Mhm.
university that I went to actually started as a physical education university, where that was like the only thing that they taught. So it's pretty well known through like D1, D2, D3 universities. Like UW La Crosse is a pretty well known physical education program. So they're definitely a lot more focused on like, we want to like be the change of like a new kind of teaching style of PE. Um, it's definitely a little different. I like to say, like, obviously, with the way kind of like the world is going and like different things with politics and whatnot, there's different things that are kind of coming more into focus that you need to be more aware of as an educator.
Yeah.
So kind of navigating those boundaries, I definitely say is a little bit tough. You always have to have another person have another adult next to you when you're having conversations with students, having witnesses, having like everything else to like kind of protect you is such a big thing in teaching now. So I'm looking forward to the challenge of navigating you know, being a younger kid, younger adult, but also following all these norms of like being in a school
I will
district and
say one
whatnot.
thing you mentioned that kind of is like a different way of looking at it when you grow up is how you looked at you said you were a challenging kid, you want to tell your teachers sorry. I think that's funny. I think everybody has that one teacher they would probably want to go back to and say, hey, sorry, I was a pain in the ass, like sorry about it, I was an idiot. But I think from your side of things, one thing that is probably going to be a benefit for you is the relatability. Like you said, it's tough to be relatable to a kid in first, second grade. You can only relate so much. If they like playing kickball, I like kickball too.
Right,
So,
I
but
like kickball too. Cool. I like
right.
I
So
like
it's
chucking
so it's
balls.
only so
Like
much you can
yeah,
relate there versus somebody in high school. I think one thing, especially in the education system, I've learned from Joey through Maddie and other people that have worked in education is kind of how you put it, as there are challenging kids and being relatable to them, being someone they could potentially talk to versus someone like, oh man, I'm just here in third period PE because Mr. Mcgee told me I had to be here. You know, so being having the
right.
ability to be someone that can relate, having to be the someone that can be there to teach, help these kids is very important. Like we talked about before the interview when we started recording, was that it's teaching is a very underappreciated avenue. And I think, Joey and I have had that conversation, and you have those conversations with Maddie about that. And he's told me some things, and it's very underappreciated. They work very hard, and it's tough to wrangle kids period to period and have the kids that are troubling, have the kids that are challenging, having everyday problems that a kid that's 14 to 18 deals with that are now coming to the forefront versus I feel like when we were younger, it was more so kind of you were quiet about things, you didn't really talk about things, and now it's being more talked about. So you have to kind of be alert in your side to be aware of certain things going on in
Right.
school.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to with teaching is like I kind of like thrive off of like building connections. like with different people. It doesn't matter. Like being here in Arizona right now, like I was only here 2 months, so it was pretty hard to find like no places are
Right.
really hiring someone to work for 2 months. So I've been just doing rover dog care and like I'll have 4 or 5 dogs in my house for a couple of days at a time. Just doing that while I can. But I go to the dog park 2 times a day and I'm socializing with people that are my parents' age, like my sister's age, like people that I wouldn't normally socialize with, but I'm working on those skills and like that's just something that I love to do is like I could talk for days and days about really anything. Um, so I kind of thrive off of like building those connections and then going up the avenue of especially like with I'm mainly interested in doing adaptive PE and working with kids with disabilities, like building those connections is kind of like what keeps me going every day. And it's just a very very rewarding experience seeing the smiles and watching the kids grow. Even like throughout my 4 or 5 years at the university, we have a motor development program that kids from all over the area with disabilities come in on like a Thursday night, and we do like 3 hours of PE for them. We go swimming in the pool, different just like daily activities that they could do at home and play at home. And seeing those kids from like my freshman year to like my 5th year, it's like these kids have aged incredibly. And like, it's just like such a cool and rewarding thing, like to see young students, especially those with disabilities, like grow and accomplish different things that a lot of people don't think that they can accomplish. And that's a big thing that, kind of keeps me motivated and keeps me having like a positive outlook is I work with so many of these students and children that have severe disabilities that are just like absolutely crushing life. They're waking up, they're happy every day, they're laughing, they're smiling, they're doing like everything 100%. I'm like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, my knee's a little sore, and it kind of gives me a different perspective on life where you can't take things for granted. And everyone is able to succeed in their own way, really. um, just everyone has a different measure of success, and you have to appreciate people and congratulate people on any kind of steps of progress that they're making. And that's definitely something that I've learned from teaching is you might get that student that's super difficult, but they go from not turning in any assignments to, hey, they turned in an assignment. Like that makes you feel good. You feel like you're doing something right. Like, okay, now like let's turn in the next 2 assignments. Let's keep building on that. And kind of just watching people like build on those steps and succeed is kind of it's really rewarding, and it's cool to be a part of. So that's definitely kind of drawn me into this profession that I'm doing.
So, in that same vein of making connections with those students, do you have any former teachers or coaches that you try and emulate or try and maybe like steal some phrases from?
Yeah, I would say, like a different teacher that like I had in middle school for PE that just, made the environment very fun to be a part of, kind of just got everyone involved and included. Mr. Knutson back at Lake Zurich Middle School North, he was an awesome guy. And actually super super funny story about him is when I was like going through middle school PE, he had all these tattoos, and I would always talk to him about like one day I'm gonna have as many tattoos as you. Like he's like, oh, we'll see, one day. And I got my first one in high school and went back and showed him. I was like, I got my first one. Like I'm gonna catch you. And I want to say last year I went back home after like I got my whole arm sleeve done. Like my legs are covered, my body's covered. I've got 14, 15, 16 tattoos now. It was kind of funny. I was able to go back and I was like, Mr. Knutson, look, I got more tattoos than you now. And he was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you do. So kind of just like going back to that like old connection where he was definitely probably through like elementary, middle, high school, like he was just hands down my favorite teacher. Just like had that open door policy where you could go in and talk to him anytime, which is something I look to emulate as well. As like when I'm teaching and in my career, like I want to be one of those teachers where you can kind of come to about anything, whether it's about sports, whether it's about something going on in your personal life. Like, I want to be able to be open to even things that maybe don't interest me as much. Like, if I have a student who's super into like art, just learning more about that and learning more about, different passions that I didn't even know might have existed. So I think, yeah, being, especially like with, I just, after my elementary, I did a middle school field experience, and that was a cool experience, because middle school students, they're in that awkward stage of life, where they're like, kind of like figuring out what they like, kind of what they want to do. Like, middle schoolers are just very awkward.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely a lot of like funny conversations to be had, and like just the different questions you're asked, especially as like a college student who's just there like 2 days a week to teach. Like, that's where it's a little hard to get that respect, because especially in the school I was in where they're on block schedules, so I see one class maybe
Every other
every like,
day.
yeah, every like 3 weeks, since I'm only there 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like it's hard to build that rapport and like gain that respect from the students in that sense. But some of some of those questions you get asked, and just the conversations you have with those middle school students, you just like go home and you're like, what was today? Like,
I would
blown
I would
I'm blown
assume
away.
I would assume the
Yeah.
middle schoolers now as well definitely have some severe iPad kid brain rot. I would have to
Right,
assume
it's a
there's some
lot of
severe brain rot for the middle
it's
schoolers of
it's
today.
a lot of skibbity toilet
Yeah.
race, everything like
Oh
that, where
man, I
like
hate
I
that
feel like
shit.
I'm like my mom's age, where I'm like, what does I have kids coming up to me,
Go outside and play.
can you mew for me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what that
I
means.
don't know what's going
I don't
on.
know why you're asking me to flex my jawline for you. You're 12. This isn't something I'm very comfortable with. I don't know any of this language. Um, but yeah,
Skibbity
it's
Ki-
just
Riz.
kids these days.
middle school is just such an awkward phase, but I loved it, because I was like, this just like, you still have to kind of have that same energy of middle school or of elementary school. Um, but yeah, just like the awkwardness of the kids, kind of just like, it cracked me up. It made me kind of enjoy the days.
That's
That's
yeah, no,
funny.
that's good. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's the skibbity riz is pretty brain rotty for middle schoolers. But
So
last question
yeah.
I have. Oh, I was gonna say last question I
Mhm.
have is what's one thing that you're looking forward to within the next year or so? Whether it's fighting, a goal you have for fighting, whether it's something with teaching, what's something you're trying to strive for to end either 2024 or by your next fight even?
So I guess kind of just getting the fights lined up. I have my fight lined up in April, which is the promotion I fought on this past April. But looking at getting on a promotion that's a fight in Shakopee, Minnesota in November. Hopefully get on that fight card, and get a couple more in the Illinois area, so some of like the hometown friends it can be local, that they can come see it. But within the next year, yeah, I finish up my degree in December, and from there it's either I'm going to be looking for just like a long-term subbing job for the spring, or if it's I'm going to wait to find a teaching job till the following fall and just kind of work and save up money. But that's just kind of the point that I'm at right now, where going to be living back home for like a year or two. Nice, just kind of saving money, getting equipped to where I feel like I'm like stable enough to go on and start somewhere else. Looking at hopefully in the next 2 3 years, ending up in like the Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina areas, kind of where my girlfriend and I are looking to hope to get our professions and kind of start our careers. So yeah, really just kind of wrapping up
Get
the
the hell out of
degree.
Illinois, right?
Yeah, ready. I'm not that excited to go back to Illinois, but it'll be nice to be back home and see my parents for a while, and
There
see
you go.
see my nephew. My sister just had a baby, so it'll be cool to have a little bit of time with him before I'm back and kind of doing my own thing again.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Well, Ian, this has been great. We'll wrap it up here. Ian Mcgee, Lucky Gee, our first wrong side athlete. Catch our logos on his stuff for his next fight. The beginning of a beautiful partnership here. Best of luck with the fights coming up. Best of luck with the teaching thing. Looking forward to seeing you when you're back in Illinois come the fall. But have all the faith in the world that you're going to succeed
Let's
at whatever
go.
you do. So
Yes.
this has been
Thank you. Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Awesome.
Ian,
Excited for the
thank you.
partnership.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. We'll do it. And we'll kick it over to our ad read and our clutch moment of the week.
Thank you, Ian. Great interview with him. Hope you guys really enjoyed that one. Best of luck to him. New sponsorship, new wrong side athlete. Now for our ad read from Clutch Moment of the Week. Shore Metals, big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. Serving Southern California since 1970. See Stan, he'll help you out. Joey, who's your Clutch Moment of the Week?
I got to shout out Al's Beef, located at Sheffield and Clark Street here in Wrigleyville. So
Okay.
we're recording this on a Sunday. The day before, yesterday was the Mustache Bar Crawl. Had a ton of people at the apartment. It's an all-day endeavor. Started drinking at about 8:30. Made it all the way until about midnight by the time I got to bed. So I was really out all day.
Okay.
I live about like a 12-minute, 15-minute walk from Wrigleyville. So a couple pit stops back at the house.
Oh, like at the
The
bars,
first one,
you would go in and out of the house?
yeah, like we'd stop back, like grab some
Okay,
food,
okay.
which
That's
which is
good.
where we're
That's good.
heading to. Yeah,
Okay.
grab a water, grab some AC. It looked like a refugee camp here towards the end of the
Oh my
afternoon when everyone
God.
came back and was started passing out. But started heading back. Al's is like right on the way, like to or from Wrigley from my apartment. It's a great beef sandwich, great burger.
Is it a
Walking
famous
back with some
one or more
people.
so just there's one right there?
It's kind of it's famous to us. Like me
Okay.
and my
Okay.
friends, we always get it, and it's right there. But it's kind
Okay.
of a staple of the neighborhood. But
Okay.
headed back after the mimosa deal, I was like, I need some food. Like I need a minute. Stopped at Al's Beef at about 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. Went back, ate, did the whole thing. Went back out at night. For the
Oh
record, I had a
no.
burger and a
Oh
Chicago.
no.
I had a burger and a hot dog for lunch. So we go back, we wait a little bit, we drink more, we go back out, and by the end of the night, like it's a rough scene out there. Like,
Don't tell
you're
me.
not thinking that much.
Don't tell me, Double.
I went back to Al's Beef Saturday night and got the exact same order as I did the time before. And I'm not proud of it. I'm sitting here
Oh my
today with
God.
a career defining hangover, some would say. And the clutch moment of the week goes out to Al's Beef for servicing me pretty darn good during a big day during the mustache crawl.
Wow.
A double grub,
From the
two
same
double
place.
cheeseburgers from the same place,
It's
hours apart.
Oh my God. That's great.
Yeah.
For all the listeners, basically, when we have these episodes, Joey and I usually prep. We talk about certain things that we're going to talk about, so we're on the same page. I actually had no idea he was going to say that, so that's the first time I'm hearing about double grub from Al's Beef. That's pretty electric.
Yeah.
In the spirit of that, I will say it's not my clutch moment, but just a side piece to it. I started teaching my parents, my family about grubs, like one grub, two grub.
Okay.
I started bringing up
Mm-hmm.
the topic. So I told my mom about it, and she was asking me what I was going to have for dinner a couple nights ago. And I was like, oh, I'll just have like the shrimp and rice that bowls we have here. And she's like, but are you going to eat later? I'm like, no, I think I'm just going to have this. She's like, double grub or single grub? So now my mom is like in on the joke. So then Friday night, my brother picked up some of his friends from school that are in town visiting, and they're here
Mm-hmm.
visiting. They went to In-N-Out for dinner, like right when they
Okay.
landed, because every kid like, oh, let's try In-N-Out. You know, everybody wants to try it. So they go to In-N-Out, but Jake and I had dinner already, and I said to Jake when I was coming home from softball, just bring me back an order of animal style fries. I don't
Okay.
want to make it a full double grub. I just want to make it a 1.5 grub. He comes
Okay.
back. He brings me my fries. I'm like, did you get anything or no? He's like, oh, I just had a Flying Dutchman, which is basically like just the double cheeseburger, patties and cheese without the like bun. And he's like, so
Okay.
that's only like a half grub. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like a double cheeseburger,
Not a
no
half
bun
grub.
is not a half grub. That's a full
That's a
grub.
full grub.
So they became
Oh, yeah.
a full grub to double grub argument in our kitchen Friday night. So, okay, Al's Beef. That's clutch moment for sure. That's double in one
Yeah.
day. That's an elite double grub moment. That was probably. I
Mm-hmm.
think Bino is going to respect that one when he hears that.
Oh,
My
yeah.
clutch moment, complete opposite side of the Al's Beef food spectrum. It's trade deadline time in the MLB. And as of this moment
Okay.
on Sunday, so far, clutch moment goes out to a partial clutch moment to GM of the Angels, Perry Manassian, who has traded Carlos Estevez to Phillies' finest, the Philadelphia Phillies, for two young pitching prospects. A great start to the rebuild. The Angels and Phillies seem to always be tied together. Bino said it best. We want to win now for you guys to win later. We're tied together with a lot of players. And so far, partial clutch. So far, he's traded guys. By the time this airs, the deadline will be over. I hope about 4 more players are gone, and he's gotten more of a haul for certain guys. So I'm very excited for that. But so far, clutch moment of the week for Perry in the GM for the Angels.
Shout out
No,
the Angels. Yeah, trade deadline's a weird time. I'm not a big ball knower in terms of baseball, so I know the Cubs are doing some weird stuff where they already have the highest payroll in the division. They're in last place. Are they competing for a playoff spot or no? They're in this. They're doing some weird stuff. Typical Chicago mismanagement, but it's always good when a trade deadline goes your way. It
yeah.
makes you feel like there's reason to keep going for a little bit.
So far, it's gone our way. Let's not jinx it. But clutch moment of the week: Perry and Alice Beef. Now to outside the line.
All right, wrapping it up with outside the line. Starting off with tone deaf person of the week. I got a huge one, but Michael, you go first. What do you got?
Mine's a little smaller than yours, but mine, I thought this kind of phased out once we graduated, like 7th, 8th grade. I guess people are still doing it my age. But birthday stories on social media. I think when you were younger, like middle school, high school, people would do the whole like birthday post for the best friend. Specifically, I would think this happens more with girls than with boys.
Uh,
But it'd be like a collage picture on Instagram. 3 pictures, happy birthday, Joey. You're the best friend ever. And 3 pictures on a picture. Then I would also do the stories. Happy birthday to you, like 7 different stories. Happy birthday to you, Joey. You are the best. Like there's 9 right there.
Yeah.
I saw one last week from a grown adult. 10 pictures.
Friend to friend.
Friend of a friend. Yes. Friend of a friend. I saw this and I followed them.
Like,
And but it was for her best friend or whoever. I was so
okay.
infatuated with the idea, but 10 stories for someone's birthday seems like a lot. Just my take.
Is it too far to call it brain rot?
Oh, it's brain rot. It is brain rot, but I don't think I would put it in like the main upper echelon of brain rot. But I would definitely think it's like the there's something wrong with you, rot. How about that?
No, that's fair. Yeah, when you said something that phased out in 7th or 8th grade, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? But that's pretty fair. In middle school, like that shit would happen. And now, like, as men of few words, as men who cannot keep up a social media account to save their lives, so we
How to
had to
hire
outsource
someone.
this job. Shout out Moose. I think we're both men of few words, so maybe we're a little tone deaf and in our grumpy old men phase there. But at this point, like, I got stuff to do. I don't have that many pictures with my friends to begin with.
Right.
I'm also a dude, so I would never do that in the first place. But yeah, I'm with you. That's pretty tone deaf.
And I don't mind like 100% touch grass. I don't mind 1 picture happy birthday. I don't mind 2 pictures even happy birthday. I don't even mind the full post collage for your boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't care. I'm totally pro shouting at your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife. 1 picture, happy birthday, 23, happy Jordan year, 24, happy Kobe year, 23, or LeBron year for 20, 25. I don't mind that 1 post, but 10 posts for every single word in the sentences is enough.
I'll put 3. I'll put the cap at 3.
Fine.
Maybe 4.
4? No, get the hell out. 3 is
fine.
enough.
3.
If
Fine. 3.
anything.
3.
If anything.
All right.
Okay, that's my tone deaf. How about you?
This is a big one, a divisive one. As you said earlier in the episode, Marvel took over at Comic-Con this week to announce that they are in panic mode. That is how I saw this announcement. They are bringing back Robert Downey Jr., playing Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom. A pretty cool reveal. I'm a big Robert Downey Jr. fan. My take here is not going to be about the quality of work that RDJ will put out. He is a very, very good actor. But I think from a storyboard perspective, from just a kind of tone-deaf perspective, Marvel's in panic mode and they're pulling back the biggest money grab they've had in the last 10 years in Robert Downey Jr. I know, Michael, you have some different thoughts, but I am anti-Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom.
Yeah, I mean, last week I kind of said it at the end of the episode with some Marvel takes. My right side, actually, this week, to jump ahead to tie everything in together is that Deadpool was amazing. I saw it on opening night. It was a success. Great movie, funny, hilarious, good story, good way of incorporating characters, great cameos. So Deadpool was a success. So that's my right side. I will
Okay.
say, tone deaf. Going into this week, I was expecting this to be my tone deaf. Marvel as a whole. I did not expect the whole RDJ thing and Doctor Doom. I did not expect that, so I won't say that. But I was expecting Deadpool to be good, but maybe not great and still not be what we needed. So I was fully prepared to
Uh,
ready to go. My take was going to be Marvel is dead. Marvel can't do it anymore. They're total money grabbers. They're trying to just put out things they think will work, and it wasn't working. That's where I thought my brain was going last
uh-huh.
Sunday. I saw Deadpool, got very excited. I think it was a great story, great way to incorporate him into the MCU. Got excited. Then the Doctor Doom news came out Saturday night in San Diego Hall H. I got super excited. I am on the opposite. I saw a lot of coverage of both sides. Why are they doing
Yeah.
this? I'm not a
Mhm.
big comic book ball knower. I will say I'm not a big lore knower. But I'm excited. I think RDJ is great. The Russo brothers are back, which will bring some
Yeah.
success back to the MCU. I think it's going to be good. But I do see the tone deafness of it's a money grab. It is 100% a panic move. I will agree. This is potentially the last move they have to make, I think, before they have to bluff or to call the bluff or fold their hand. This is it. You're putting a lot of stake in there. I know he said he was never going to come back. Doesn't matter. All these superstars, money talks. They're all whores for money. So money
Do
talks.
we know the dollar value on any of this yet?
No, nobody knows the dollar value, but I'm going to be
It's got
shocked whatever the numbers be.
it's going to be it's going to be
I
ridiculous.
don't know if it'll be nine figures or what, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane.
My first thought process was it could be nine figures, yeah.
So I'm excited, but I think they're going to do well. But I know there are a lot of fears. It's a big character. You don't want to mess it up. I think their plan was you're not going to mess it up with RDJ, but it comes to
Yeah.
a point where how much RDJ will look good with Iron Man and the character's dead and everything like that now. How will he come back and how will other characters get incorporated with him? Will they say and pause and say that looks like Tony Stark? How will that look? There is a
Yeah.
cameo in Deadpool, which I think is the first step of maybe that was their tease of RDJ. I'm not going to really go into it because I don't want people to know if they haven't seen it, especially you. But
Yeah.
maybe that was their first step of kind of the RDJ coming back, but we will see. I'm still open. I'm definitely in a better spot Marvel wise, in my opinions, than I was a week ago. If you were to ask me a week ago, I've been bashing them for quite a while now, probably the last
Yeah.
year outside of like Loki. And I think that they're in a better spot. And I'm starting to believe again. I'm not calling them back yet. I don't think they're back yet, but I think they're in a better spot, my opinion on it. But I know those kind of fears that I've had and explained, you have, and that's why you think it's tone deaf.
Yeah, I'm excited about RDJ. The Fantastic Four cast looks really good as well. So I was kind of hoping that like Doctor Doom was going to be like you're going to build up the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom together, like with new faces, like as the Avengers are kind of dying out.
Right.
The Russo brothers, I think, is a good move bringing back, but like as the OGs are leaving the Avengers, like I was looking towards the Fantastic Four to kind of be that like new like pinnacle group, and I think keeping it tied in with RDJ, like with the complexities of the Doctor Doom character and everything, like I hope it's still going to be good, but I fear it's still that money grab. So yeah, that's what, we'll see how it pans out. I'm seeing Deadpool later this week, but that's my tone deaf. I hope I'm wrong. I'm usually not. I'm one of those guys that's always right, but we'll see how it shakes out. You hit your right
Yeah.
side. Do you want to finish off your wrong side?
Yeah, wrong side. Dynasty is in action, like we've been talking about the last few weeks. And Ollie Gordon, Joey's running back, absolutely dismantled me. I think he broke 65 tackles and he juked out and spun like crazy. He had like 300 yards. Oklahoma State destroys SMU in week one of the Dynasty. We had some great matchups. But yeah, wrong side was Ollie Gordon killing me. It was disgusting.
Uh, It was amazing. I'm going on record with some of these takes. Ollie Gordon, 18 attempts, 6 touchdowns. So every third carry he'd score a touchdown, 323 yards. I dubbed Oklahoma State to the playoff, Ollie Gordon Heisman. And I don't think I said natty, but we're definitely not counting out a national championship
It
right now.
was
So
and the
I'm
worst
quite
part about
excited
it
about the
was
dynasty.
worst part was it was a ball game. It was 28-24 almost going into the half and he
Yeah.
runs one about 82 yards. He breaks 3 tackles to go up 35-24 at the end of the half. And I think I didn't even score in the second half. I got like no action, couldn't get anything going. It was a disaster game. So that was my wrong side, but
Final
it's
score
over.
70-24. It's hard to run the ball out when you just break off 75-yard touchdown runs every time. So I was trying to be kind of nice, but shit just happens sometimes. I still threw a couple picks, a lot of film to go over in terms of that. But
We're on the
so
Texas
far, I
Tech.
love our Dynasty League is amazing. I
We're
love
on
our
the Texas
Dynasty
Tech.
League.
We're on
All right, we're
SMU's
on to
on the
Iowa.
Texas Tech. So
All right, let's
that's where
do
we're
it.
at. How about you? Wrong side, right side to wrap it up.
Yeah, right side. Even my mom said that she could tell in the last episode. I've been pretty frustrated with work lately. I've been getting my butt kicked a little bit, but this week my boss actually was really vouching for me and helping me out. So right side, feeling supported at work is very important. So
Let's go.
I still have an uphill battle going into the week, but it felt good to like get that support from the gang and from my boss. So that was good.
Hell yeah.
We'll see. Uh, Wrong side. This is kind of a funny one. So I watch TV before I go to bed, and I like fall asleep randomly. I fall asleep with the TV on, and I've been rewatching Game of Thrones. I've seen it plenty of times before. Like I'm not super locked in.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, it's one of my favorite shows ever. But I'm in season 4. Spoiler alert: Joffrey dies in season 4, episode 2. And that's one of the best moments of the show because Joffrey is one of the biggest piece of shit TV has ever seen. So I
Right.
really want to see Joffrey die, but I keep falling asleep during the beginning of season 4, episode 2. So this week I've accidentally rewatched season 4 like 3 or 4 different times, but today I finally made it through. So I got to lock in a little bit more in my TV watching.
What a week for you with Al's beef and the Game of Thrones that we watch.
I have such a pea brain. I just sit here like
Shout
I'm
out
not a
Brain
smart
Rot.
man. Shout out Brain Rod, big time.
Yeah, that's great. I agree that the sleeping shows are tough. I try to do that too, and you want to watch like a new show. You always want to watch like a new
Yeah,
show, but then you fall asleep, so you end up watching like the same shit. Last night I was watching Blue Mountain State. I guess it's back on Netflix, but I
nice.
got caught watching that before bed, so that's always great. But yeah, that's pretty funny. Well, at least you'll know those couple episodes of season 4 like the back of your hand by the end of it, because now
Oh yeah.
you'll be dreaming about it, you'll be getting going, and it'll be all the way through your brain. But that's pretty much it for this week. Wrapping it up here. Another fantastic week. Follow us at Wrong Side Takes on social media platforms. We've got some videos, some new blogs out. Football's almost here, guys. I know what you're thinking. You almost are here. Got about a month. We're less than a month. This week, actually, Thursday, Bears, Texans. Welcome back, football, for the Hall of Fame
Yes,
game.
sir.
We're getting back into it. We're going to start rolling out our division recap and blogs for you guys, and we're pretty excited for that. So looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us on week 19 of Wrong Side, and have a great week.
Stay blessed.